Without caffeine, they're also first on my list of most likely to be murdered at work with a stapler. Nobody wants to hear, oh, I got up at 4 a.m., worked out, and did my taxes, while you are stumbling in late with your shirt inside out.
I'm simply not the same man I was a few minutes ago comparing prices on cough medicines. I'm in a whimsical paradise surrounded by pseudo mahogany, unisex mannequins, and a colorful array of ghetto wear. I don't think I'll ever leave here.
My favorite moment is when the guitar wails out those riffs that flail like a worm stranded on a sun-blasted sidewalk, only to burst into a frantic solo as if it just spotted a hungry robin and is wriggling for its
You
life.
think like before the worm does it, he's like, other worm's like, you'll never make that dude. And he's like, I can do it. Look, I can see the other side. And then he gets halfway across and he's like, oh, fuck. This was a bad idea. And then here comes a bird.
This is the Snaggletooth Extreme Metal Podcast.
You ever notice how grocery stores mist the veggies? These little fog machines go off like it's spa day for romaine. At some stores, they even pipe in thunder sound effects. The lights flash. I'm standing there thinking, wow, this stuff is so fresh, they're still irrigating it. Wrong. I'm gullible enough to believe we're in some kind of Rainforest Cafe produce edition, minus the giant animatronic gorilla, unless you count the Italian guy in aisle 7 squeezing the plums and shouting into his cell phone.
Turns out the mist isn't to clean anything. It's not to keep things alive. No, it's a marketing trick dreamt up in the boardroom of Safeway. The idea is to make everything look plump and dewy, like mouth-watering so that you'll buy more. And the water adds weight. So when your spinach gains a few ounces, guess who pays for that? We do. It's like the cashier has 2 fingers, a toe, and a kneecap on the scale.
But here's the kicker. Apparently, misting actually shortens the shelf life. The extra moisture helps bacteria and mold set up a little colony in your crisper drawer. So not only are you paying extra, you're coming back in 3 days because your cilantro turned into a swamp creature. This is high larceny. They've basically monetized mildew. Meanwhile, I'm standing there giggling because I think it's cute. The broccoli is getting a little sprinkle. Like, oh, look at you, baby, getting your hydration on. Meanwhile, it's quietly undoing all my clipped coupons. So I snap, full produce rage, and start shaking my arugula like I'm trying to launch every overpriced droplet back into the atmosphere.
Unfortunately, Mildred behind me did not appreciate being baptized in lettuce runoff. She gasped like I'd slapped her with a wet kale bouquet. And I'm standing there like, sorry, ma'am, just trying to get ahead of this aqua-based corruption. Here's a copy of Us Magazine you can draw off with it. Hey, wait a minute, who's Brad Pitt dating? The scam with taking plastic bags away from us is another head scratcher. In the county we live in, simply mentioning the word plastic in line is considered probable cause by the environmental authorities. Instead, we're forced to buy paper bags that rip if you look at them sternly.
Back in the 80s, grocery store paper bags were like iron, 4 layers thick, and you willed them to your grandchildren. Now, so the ones I have to hit 3 extra buttons and pay 10 cents a piece for? 4 plums and a tube of toothpaste that can split the bottom out of them. It seems like every few years the laundry detergent companies decide to run the super concentrated scam on us. Instead of our standard size laundry detergent bottle, they want to sell us a package the size of a thermos with the claim, it's so powerful you'll use half as much. Of course, when we do the laundry, using the recommended thimbleful per load, the gravy stains on your white cocktail dress will never come out. So you lose the big bottle, but you gain a load of semi-cleaned clothes. The only thing concentrated in this scenario are the coworkers concentrating on your white polo, speculating is that a wine stain or an embroidery?
And why do stores like Walmart change the flooring based on departments? The good old-fashioned industrial strength white tile is fine if you're buying denture cream, mangoes, or toilet cleaner, but when I stroll through the apparel department, Well, honestly, I rarely stroll. It's probably more like an educated saunter or a determined meander, to be sure. Anyway, as I promenade to the apparel department for a new pair of workout shorts, suddenly I'm in Shangri-La. The floor suddenly looks like wood. And while our practical brain says this is the same disgusting floor, vomited on regularly by children and trampled by filthy shoes, I still have the feeling that I'm somehow pranced, waddled, and or trotted into some slick, trendy department store. I'm simply not the same man I was a few minutes ago comparing prices on cough medicines. I'm in a whimsical paradise surrounded by pseudo-mahogany, unisex mannequins, and a colorful array of ghetto wear. I don't think I'll ever leave here.
And what are the odds in a 100-acre superstore that the clunky gray staircases on wheels will be abandoned and blocking exactly what you came there to buy? Christ, why is this thing blocking all the cordless vacuums? If I'd wanted pipe cement, light bulbs, or wicker furniture, I've had full access. But now I'm stuck with this bizarre climbing device in the way. Not an employee in sight to help, of course. Ever try to move that thing yourself? You'd have better luck pushing a skyscraper through the garden tool department than moving this bitch.
I'll talk about our feature interview. Our feature interview this week is with Jean Paul, Joe Ott, Stephen Rasick, and Rocco Martone, the exciting Jersey-based death metal band Chained to the Dead. This one's a full-on, full-band discussion that covers the current New Jersey extreme metal scene, the concept behind their 3 EP trilogy, and particularly the recording of their latest EP, Something Happened on the Way to Hell. We get into all kinds of horror movie geekouts, their collaboration with Ruddy Duck Brewing, and the basis for their death metal cover of Genesis's Misunderstanding. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, this is Rawhead Rex. Okay, let's talk about Patreon. The site is patreon.com/Snaggletooth Podcast, and for $6.66 a month, you get a turbocharged walker, complete with flames and additional storage, full of Mark and Stace.
Yeah, I think I'll put up some of the tricks I learned for Thanksgiving leftovers. That's always fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Some
discovered
great
some
ones.
great ones, and including my wonderful turkey framed soup, which is still cooling.
Fantastic. We're going to have turkey everything over the next few weeks. So, and I feel like a turkey, and that's probably a good way to start. What's next? Hit it.
And now it's time for Obnoxious Trivia!
Okay, Obnoxious Trivia, educational version,
Got my notes.
requiring notes.
All right. Number 1. The Curse of Timur is a popular legend that states whoever disturbs the tomb of this 14th century conqueror will unleash a great calamity. The tomb was opened on June 20th, 1941. What happened 2 days later? A. A huge earthquake struck Russia. B. Nazis invaded the Soviet Union. D. Joseph Stalin had his first heart attack. Or D. An asteroid hit Siberia.
Timur. It's hard to tell from that where it's located.
No, that's the man's name. Oh, I think it was his name.
Okay. I'm going to say B, Nazis invited. Invited? Nazis invaded. Nazis invited the Soviet Union over for dinner.
You are correct.
I might have read that somewhere.
Yeah, it was actually really
German major, remember?
So it's that actually kicked off the whole invasion, and Stalin was so suspicious about it and kind of started to believe that it was a curse. So they reburied him, and poofed. Stalingrad started turning in the Soviets' favor.
Wow.
You think it's a coincidence, or is that kind of creepy?
Very creepy.
They put him back, and they were like, "No, the war's gone our way."
See, this is why I had a fine arts education for moments like this. All that tuition money. Okay. Number 2.
A list of historical coincidences notes that several key events in the careers of Napoleon Bonaparte and Adolf Hitler occurred almost exactly 129 years apart. What did they do 129 years apart? A. Were born and died. B. Received medals for bravery and failed to invade Britain. C. Rose to power and conquered Vienna. Or D. Suffered Russian defeats and visited prior leaders' tombs.
Well, you know how I feel about C. So I'm going to say B, received medal for bravery and failed to invade Britain.
Well, while those things are true, what they did 129 years apart was rose to power and conquered Vienna.
I told you, you know how I feel about that.
But
Vienna was not conquered. Vienna said, come on in.
But that was kind of a trick question because they did suffer Russian defeats. And actually,
Not 129 years apart, though.
no.
So,
But Adolf Hitler was really obsessed with Napoleon to the point where he did visit his tomb. So check this out. So the time that they rose apart to power and became leader was 1804 to 1933. So that's 129 years.
okay.
They conquered Vienna, again, 129 years apart.
Vienna rolled out the carpet for them. They had parades.
The final defeat, fall from power, was 129 years apart.
Wow.
Similarities beyond the 129-year cycle. Other parallels are frequently mentioned. They were both considered outsiders who rose to lead their respective nations. Napoleon was Corsican-born Italian who ruled France. Hitler was an Australian who ruled Germany. They both had military backgrounds, served in combat. They both received medals for bravery. Path to power. Both used periods of national turmoil to seize power. Both were popular with crowds initially and eventually established police states. The failed invasion of Britain. Both attempted and failed to conquer England, leading them to pursue a reverse blockade strategy. Both suffered catastrophic defeats in Russia, where brutal winters and stretched supply lines decimated their armies, a key factor in their ultimate downfall. Lots of weird similarities between the two.
Okay. This is very educational. All right, number 3.
During the Great Stink in London in 1858, members of Parliament tried to fight the odor of the sewage-filled Thames by doing what to the House of Commons curtains? A. Burning them and sewing new ones. B. Soaking them in chloride of lime, bleach. C. Hanging massive bunches of flowers on them. Or D. Repainting the chamber with oil-based paint.
The drapes?
The
curtains.
Yeah,
They thought
it
the
smelled so bad in Parliament.
They thought the curtains would. Okay. I'll say C, hanging flowers.
They actually soaked them in chloride of lime, which did not work.
Oh, okay.
People were carried around, scented.
Yeah, I've seen the pictures. Yeah,
Um,
great stink. Yeah.
Yeah, it was horrible, and ultimately the crisis forced the government to approve a massive permanent infrastructure project, sewers.
Yeah.
So that hadn't come, but the government ignored it for a really, really long time, like it was just going to go away. And some places they were saying that they thought the idea to fight it, they dumped all these chemicals in the Thames, and they put chalk, lime, carbolic acid poured directly into the Thames, and it was completely ineffective. There was also a summer heat wave going on at the time.
Lovely.
People were fleeing the city. Queen Victoria and Prince Albert even had to cancel a pleasure cruise on the Thames. Darn. Some people just stayed indoors. They refused to go through it, and some people reported there were piles of poop up to 6 feet high.
Lovely. Okay. I wouldn't want to have a cruise in that.
Yeah.
So, okay, number 4.
The world's largest beaver dam, located in the, I guess it's Peace Alphabaca Delta of Canadian's Wood Buffalo National Park, was discovered how? A. It was spotted from space via satellite imagery on Google Earth. B. A hiker named Rob Mark stumbled across it on a trek. C. NASA found it using a space telescope. Or D. It was so big it caused flooding in a nearby town.
I'm gonna say NASA found it with a space telescope.
Close. It was actually Google Earth that found it.
Really? Okay.
By taking pictures. So bonus fact, the dam stretches over 2,600 feet, covers roughly 750,000 square feet, holds about 2.5 million cubic feet of water, enough to fill 1,600 hockey rinks. Those Canadian engineers, or those Canadian beavers are hell of an
They could have
engineer.
built the Hoover Dam, it sounds like, So.
Yeah, so they recently discovered that it was actually, it was Google out there.
Well, 1 out of 4. That's not too bad.
And it's in a very isolated part of Canada, so it's not like people are happening upon it. Plus, you can't really appreciate it. That was kind of a trick question. Hiker Rob Mark did make the journey out to it after it was discovered, but he said it's hard to appreciate when you're just looking at a part of it because you don't realize how big it is. You can really look at it from above.
Nice beaver. All right, this has been Obnoxious Trivia. Okay. All right, it's time for our Snaggletoon.
Mutation Fixation. Try our unbreakable people today. Oops. No, sorry, these people over there. Turns out there's a rare mutation in the LRP5 gene that regulates bone density, and when it goes into overdrive, you get folks with bones so dense they're basically scaffolding that walks.
These people don't just have strong bones, they have practically unbreakable bones. Slip on the ice, they don't fracture their arm, they bust the sidewalk. Maybe this is how you found out that you have this mutation. Dude, are you okay? Because you just broke my driveway.
On top of this group ain't subject to age-related bone degeneration either. Everyone else is over here turning into a fall risk by 70, and these mutants are like, nah, I'm good. My skeleton is made from the same material as Thor's hammer.
You'd have to change the commercial from help, I've fallen, and I can't get up, to help, I've fallen, and I cracked the foundation.
Honestly, Superman might actually be real. Only catch. Still no flying mutations. Yet. But I believe in us. Give evolution a minute. People with this DEC2 mutation can thrive on way less sleep than the rest of us, with zero cognitive impairment. Think about it. No droopy eyelids, no wandering around the house, looking for car keys. Me? I need black coffee, icy water to the face, and an air raid siren just to reach a mode where I'm moderately aware of my surroundings.
These mutants are described as more optimistic, more energetic, and better at multitasking. Of course they are. Give them a 4-minute catnip and a box of raisins and they're kayaking over Niagara Falls without a care in the world.
Without caffeine, they're also first on my list of most likely to be murdered at work with a stapler. Nobody wants to hear, oh, I got up at 4 a.m., worked out, and did my taxes, while you are stumbling in late with your shirt inside out. Their sleep is freakishly efficient as they drop straight into deep restorative sleep, like they're speed running a bedtime. They snooze right through environmental disturbances, too. They cannot be woken up. A thunderstorm, car alarm, alley cat sex outside, nothing.
Meanwhile, you're over there trapped in that recurring nightmare where you're stuck at a toll booth and a line of cars is honking behind you. And all of your loose change has been replaced with sweet gherkins. You just feel like such a dillweed. Jet lag doesn't exist for these people. These freaks can hop a red eye from New York to Silicon Valley, land at 7 a.m., and tear right into their epic presentation on alternate iPhone chargers.
The rest of us arrive looking like we've been fished out of the Hudson. These are actual jet setters because their bodies apparently decided time zones are an easy hurdle.
Okay, I can't take anymore. Let's play a song. This is Chained to the Dead, Just Before Dawn. Okay, let's talk about Hum Nutrition.
Hum Nutrition is a great company out of California. They make supplements that actually work. It's not just a bunch of hooey and false promises. They're actually designed by doctors, tested. You can read testimonials, you can read reviews on the products. They even have a quiz that you can take, and it will recommend products based on your concerns. Mostly our concerns in this house are keeping our metabolism running at, say, middle age. So we combat that with these are apple cider gummies, much better than taking that shot of apple cider that I think Fergie used to talk about doing. Gross.
Yep.
These are really easy. They're really tasty. You can just taste a little bit of the vinegar. It's kind of sweet. Then there's also Skinny Bird. That's this one. This is also metabolism upper. This works just the way GPL does as far as keeping your metabolism up and your cravings down. So this is also a great for weight management.
Everyone it works says I have beautiful plumage.
If you like turmeric for kind of its properties where it decreases swelling, joint damage, turn back time is another great one. We also, there are some great, you can see the turmeric in there, it's yellow.
They look rusty.
Also, we have celery juice fiber gummies. These are great. Who doesn't need a little detoxification? I know I usually do by the end of the weekend. So it gets all those nasty toxins out. Also, a gummy, very easy to take. They have tons of different supplements for strong hair and nails. If you need a boost on your memory, if you need, if you're pregnant, they have womb service, which is a great prenatal vitamin. If you're not sure what your concerns are, like I said, go take their test. You can actually chat with a doctor online if you're unsure. So use our link. It will save you off your first order. This is also points based. So once you accumulate points, you get money off your first order.
Right. Click the link and you'll get some money off and we'll get credit for it. So yay. And now it is time for Bombastic Plastic.
Bombastic.
Bombastic!
So this week on Bombastic Plastic, we're going to talk about the band Potbelly, and the album is from 2010, Sterilize the Stupid. Now, it can take years of reflection to understand the behavior of your youth. In my teens and 20s, if there was ever any sort of mischief, this is going to shock all of you. If there was any kind of mischief or debauchery to be had, I wanted part of it. Depraved practical jokes, I'm there. A heist involving aerosol products at an ex's house, I'd better get the call. Seeing how far our English teacher's car would go on empty? All right, all that one was my idea, but the point is, I found out that if some brainless activity was planned and I was not consulted, I felt like I was doing something wrong. This came back to bite me in early college because I told people to wake me up whenever they wanted to drink. So many times I would roll over and it would be like, with the guy right here going, dude, I got tons of beer. All right, did make a promise. Anyway.
I understand this much better now, and it resurfaced to a certain degree. In the early 2000s, when we ran an underground webzine, I've talked about it before, it was still 90% physical copies being mailed in for review, and there was absolutely no way to keep up with all the discs flowing in. But every once in a while, you would get something rife with depravity and humor, and it still felt so good that these freaks actually sought us out.
In this case, it was around 2007, and the newly formed PIG label out of Seattle had begun cranking out filthy punk and hardcore discs at a furious pace. I was so proud to receive one of their first mailings that included El Duce's Slave to the Master, the Dehumanizer's First 5 Years of Drug Use, and this excellent full-length from Potbelly, Sterilize the Stupid. Yes, this music is exactly in my wheelhouse. I felt a strange connection to my lusty youth, huffing paint thinner and stealing hood ornaments all over again.
Sterilize the Stupid was the third album from the collective known as Potbelly, a Northwestern hardcore moniker that had roots going all the way back to their original formation in 1995. 17 songs graced 22 minutes, and musically and lyrically, absolutely nothing is taboo. Life and Decay, nearly 3 minutes of tightly executed punk thrash, including a lot of shred-heavy guitar, and a chorus so infectious you'll need a tetanus shot afterwards. the acoustic tearjerker, I Challenge Fat Mike, calls out the aforementioned character for exaggerating his drinking capabilities, and even includes the protagonist's phone number in case you want to dial him up and verify where we stand on this whole situation. Let's play a clip. This is Life in Decay.
The majestically titled The Beer Trilogy is a 7-second long SOD type of affair that's probably better unexplained. Now, for those of you that are thinking these guys don't explore their feminine side, you will be rethinking your stance when you hear the touching Ballad of Debbie Harry, an infinitely romantic appeal to the Queen of New Age, complete with little banjo and a compelling bass solo to boot. Gents, she will not be calling you. Get the idea?
Actually, the guitar tones are ice pick sharp, particularly from mainstay frontman Jason Potbelly Roger. They bust out some blast beats from time to time and even a few dancing-inspired whoas, which come out sounding a lot better than they need to be. Plus, the leads in longer songs are surprisingly lyrical.
Look, I won't go into detail describing cuts like Monkey Fuckers or Felony Girls. But suffice to say, if there was a soundtrack to a Hallmark card, Potbelly would nail it in a Whitby Island, Washington minute. I encourage all of you to check out the PIG page for a bevy of Gotta Have It pickups from the Porn Stars of Horror, Bath Salts Brigade, and Anarchy for Assholes. Check them out. It'll feel like you're writing your name on the side of the basilica in spray paint. Let's play a clip. This is Felony Girls. This was a really good interview. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Band showed up.
Yeah, I love a whole band interview because you get all kinds of stories. You even sometimes get a conflicting story or two.
It was the whole band, and it wasn't like, we can't hear the drummer. Like, they had good audio all around, which is aces with us. So, and hopefully you'll appreciate that as well. Let's take it away.
So to start and also kind of do a mic check, why don't you go around and introduce yourself and say what you play and how you came to join the band and what your spirit animal is.
All right. Good. Oh, me? Okay. I'm Joe Ott. I formed the band with these three guys, actually, and we're the original lineup, which I'm proud as hell of because I've been in a million bands, but it's really hard to retain an original lineup. Happy as hell to say that we've been together for 10 years, and my spirit animal is most definitely a penguin. Good, Rocky.
Me and Joe were in a band called Painful Urination about 20 years ago. 19, that makes it sound. It sounds older when you say 20. But yeah, when we kind of were just reformed, we got together and decided to make something, and then these guys were first choices. And spirit animal, I'm a cat at heart.
No doubt.
I think I am too.
I play guitar. I guess I joined these guys in the beginning too. Spirit animal, dog.
Absolutely, very loyal.
I guess that leaves me. I'm John Paul Dalpan. Play bass in the band, and I guess I don't know. If I really think about it, I think maybe a bird, some sort of flight creature. But that would be my spirit animal.
Excellent.
I feel hawk coming from you somewhere.
Yeah. Something predatory. Yeah. Yeah.
So you guys hail from, how do you say it?
Passaic, right?
Passaic?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's where we practice. We're all from different towns in New Jersey, but that is our hub.
That is where we are right now, currently.
As
Yeah.
we speak.
in the home base in the bat cave.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what's the death metal scene like there? Is it tight knit, cutthroat, or just one bloody family barbecue?
I mean, it ebbs and flows. It has it's always repopulating, and there's always newer bands coming, and it has fallow periods and it has really strong periods. COVID kind of killed a lot of the venues, so I think it was rebuilding now, and I think it's fairly strong now. And I don't know, we get along with everybody. We're the type of dudes that we get along with everyone pretty much, and so it seems like a very homogeneous environment, but other bands might not agree with that, but I think that's how it is.
COVID also like wiped out a lot of bands and venues, but a lot of bands around here. And like now that like the dust has settled and we look around, there's not too many of anybody that we used to play music with playing anymore. It's like just us. So we get strewn through with like a bunch of younger bands at the venues around, New Jersey where we play. So we're getting introduced to a bunch of younger crowds, with younger bands and whatnot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I have to ask, Steve, how do you say your last name? I think we butchered it in the review.
Hey, you and everyone else. It's good. Razik.
Razik, okay.
Yeah, I think we put an extra syllable in there somewhere.
Well, like we, behind the scenes, like before we do a show, like we'll kind of run through and it'll be like, all right, all the bands are American. This is great. We won't have any trouble with names, No Finns, no Germans, and then we fuck it up anyway,
Like, disclaimer, I don't know whether this umlaut sounds, so I'm just going to go.
There's absolutely no way to check for it. So you just have to kind of take your pitch and swing, So.
Hey, this is New Jersey. We have so many different nationalities, man. We are a melting pot.
Giant melting pot.
Oh, also, kind of on a similar note, is it true that Joe and Rocco are both the thirds? You have 2/3 in the band?
That is true.
That is a legitimate third thing. We were not Thurston howling it just to sound cool. We were legitimately the thirds.
We are both Italian, and our fathers both thought that they have to name us after our grandfathers as well. Yep.
2/3 don't make a right.
Damn sure.
For the record, I do have a son, and his name is Rocco, but I gave him a different middle name, so that's done.
Unbelievable.
I killed it.
You have the best. You have the best name, Rocco Martone from Jersey. I mean, it's perfect.
Sounds like a gangster.
Yeah, exactly.
I got carpets ready to roll anybody up.
Right. Don't make me call Rocco. Okay, I'll call him.
Rocco who from Jersey? Oh
yeah.
No, that guy's rough.
Mm-hmm.
So of you guys, who's the leader, who's the instigator, who's the comic relief, and who's the peacemaker?
Oh man.
Oh wow, interesting.
I say we all share a little bit of everything, but Rocco will tell us who we are.
I mean, Steve is definitely the peacemaker.
Dude, 100% peacemaker.
I think in most cases, I am probably the instigator of a lot of stuff. Joe takes the lead and usually can steer the ship and where it needs to go if something needs to be picked up, like hey, we need to do a cover. He's like, oh, okay. I just wrote I made a typo negative mentally.
I'll just be like, hey, let me see the guitar real quick. I gotta show you. I wrote a new song. And they're like, wait, we gotta do this song now? I'm like, yeah, this is Danzig, Left Hand Black. We're doing it. They're like, what?
And all the merch he does and the videos and stuff too. So I think in a way you could say that. And what was the other one? Stinking. That'd be JP.
Yeah, let's see, the comic relief.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
That'd be John. Not always intentional, but always a great guy to always have around.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, I mean, over the last couple of years, HPTG has become like one of those labels where we gravitate so easily to anything. That Mike has such extraordinary taste. How did you come to work with him?
I think we met Mike the first time at it was a Useless Christ Fest, which was Gutter Christ and Schlack, who's in bands that had been on Mike's label before, put on this big festival. And Mike, I kind of knew, but I knew his label, and he was by our merch table, and he had these really cool death maquettes that were from Symbolic, and it was like,
oh wow,
yeah, I don't know if you remember, they were doing those little statues. So I just started talking to him, and he's like, oh, you guys, you were that band? I was like, yeah. So he's like, want to do a trade? We did a trade. He's like, you ever want to do an album? Let's do it. And then we put out our next split with him, and we've been like with him ever since. And So it was pretty much just like two dudes broing out over some death statue, and we've had long-standing relationships since then.
Yeah, I haven't pulled the trigger on it yet, but he hooked me up with some of his ex-contacts from Relapse. So I've got that in my back pocket if I ever need that, because
Relapse, like old school Relapse is like
because that's he worked for them for a long time. So
and like that's like, if someone says like what is like one of your influences, your inspirations for music, like, you go to Relapse from the 90s, any Resound catalog that they put out, I would look through those like kids would look through a comic book, read it over and over, or a Toys R Us catalog, and just...
We consider that an influence. Like people are like, what is your biggest influence? Like the Resound catalog and the samplers that Relapse used. That whole 90s era is like golden, crisp era of death metal and grindcore and all that great stuff when it was intimidating.
Yeah, I remember we would take trips up to Philly to go to the Relapse store, and we were always like, do we have enough money? Is 500 enough? Should we have more? Because we're going to buy everything in the store, and we did, So they had this clock on the wall. It was like I think it was like a Deicide clock, and it was not for sale. And it was like, and it was driving me crazy. I was like, come on, name your price. The guy wouldn't sell it. Yeah.
This guy with a Godflesh poster at this local record store by me that I'm always like, he's just like, nope, that stays here forever. I'm like, there's not even a metal record in the store anymore, but I don't know. Sometimes it's a load-bearing poster, I guess.
So I love your he went with the CD for the physical release. I know Mike is starting to do more vinyl. Any chance of pressing this to vinyl? Because I think this would be a great for one of those splatter designs.
We 100% agree with you. Next time you talk to Mike, please let him know that same sentiment.
I will.
Yeah, we would
not be the first time.
All right.
I've ragged him about on him for some of his releases in the past. I've been like, it's always like promo, CD, black shirt, on to the next band. I'm like, come on,
yes,
let's get a little crazy here,
All right.
Yeah, the model we're doing for doing EPs right now, it's like there was an idea to finally put all these EPs together and release it as a vinyl after the third one of the trilogy comes out with some other new stuff, and that was a big, But sometimes I get a little like, that's something I thought of like 3 years ago, and I don't want to do it anymore. So we don't know, and sometimes it's like we'll just do new shit instead of putting out old shit. So, but we shall see. I mean, if Mike says, "Hey, I want to put it out," we're gonna put it out.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be great. You get the splatter vinyl and do some fake blood insert. It would sell like hotcakes.
Oh my god, yes.
It'd be great.
Please.
Yeah, I know.
Speaking of Relapse, they had the anal cunt vomit vinyl once. I remember that literally just looks like puke on a vinyl. It was great.
I can't look at that stuff. I'll spend all our mortgage money. I can't stay on, so.
So when I first heard your band name, I thought for sure that I was going to Google it. It was going to be some B horror flick somewhere, but I couldn't find anything about it. In fact, when you Google it, all it comes up with you, which is a good thing. Did you instantly kind of gravitate to that? Because I love it because you're exactly what you're going to be in for. And were there any runner-ups when you were trying to figure out a band name?
What was this band originally called?
This band?
Yeah, in its infancy.
Zombroski?
Yeah, Zombroski. Wow. Rocco was never a fan of this, so that was never a thing. We just, unlike my 4-track demo of those tapes, it says Zombroski, which some of the riffs did translate to Chain of the Dead and whatnot.
It was like it was a thing that was like, I have notebooks upon notebooks of names for this band back then. And we had a show coming up, and I was like running through them, and every time I said them out loud, I hated them. And I don't know, we had a show coming up in like a month, and we're like, we need a real name. And that came up. I remember the imagery, of Michonne from The Walking Dead with the two zombies on chains was a very striking to me. And I wasn't the biggest zombie Walking Dead fan, but I was like, that is the coolest image in the world. And at the time, Joe was a big fan of it. And I was like, well, if I get him to agree to it, that's 50%, and then we'll just name it something I chose. And now I hate it because it's just so long. I have to say it. It's like 4 words, and every time it's like, I don't know. Maybe I would have picked something less verbose, or or it could have been an acronym so we could use a word instead of an initialism. I don't know.
we like it because it's Romero-esque, but not really. You know what I mean?
It is evocative and it is cool. People do like it a lot, so I do like that you guys like it. I appreciate it.
And if to pick up some extra money, you could have like a covers project. You could do Unchained from the Dead and just do Van Halen songs.
Okay. So thank you. That is amazing.
Yeah.
We've definitely talked about what comes after Chain of the Dead when we're getting like, you know, into our 60s and whatnot. And like what we said there's a void of in our world is like punk rock has punk rock karaoke where people from NoFX and like a bunch of other bands will get together and play classic punk songs and whatnot. It doesn't really exist for death metal. So like that's definitely a cream dream of ours in the future to like be that band. Like I already make them learn macabre songs and he makes them learn Pungent Stench. So we're getting there.
No, that's cool. Yeah.
I actually have a Walking Dead tattoo. It's the pitchfork through the skull. It was like one of the symbols on the last
season
opening credits.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
But yeah, I would definitely. You guys should have one of those shirts with the Marshon. Yeah, with the. Oh my
That would be
god,
cool.
it would be awesome.
I had like an image of like it was like a we had a Walter White song, and I had an image of like Walter White with two something. I don't know.
Oh, play on Michonne's imagery with Walter. That'd be awesome.
I have notebooks upon notebooks of like the guy like John Doe from Seven, just of stuff for this band that no one will ever see.
You know, when we started playing Walking Dead was still on. So like doing a Michonne like shirt or song or anything like that was like no. But now that it's been removed for a while, we might get into that.
You guys could just be another spinoff. I mean, Daryl's got one for God's sake.
Yeah,
seriously. Daryl and Carol. Yeah.
So I love your cover art. It is so pure pulp horror fiction. This one has less boobs than the last one. I don't know if that was intentional, but definitely more up in your face violence.
It was not my choice, but the artist said he was like, I'll focus more on the gore instead of the nakedness this time. So
yeah,
I said, that's fine. You do what you got to do. I didn't really want to. My relationship with the artist is really kind of like he's very intuitive in what I want, and I don't really give notes because I think it's a cool thing to see their interpretation of the music. Not that he see like our vibe and what I give him in a few sentences, and I don't know. I just like the idea of him having his own part of what we do exist without too much of my input.
So does the demon on the picture have a backstory or a name, or he's just an unfortunate fellow?
Oh, interesting. I mean, the covers do tell a story from the first one to what will be the third one. So it's about the three fates women, and they've taken over the underworld of hell, and only hunger remains, and they've decimated the underworld, and then something has happened on the way to hell, and this guy might be the devil, he might just be a demon, and they're just fucking them up, and they're done. So now they've eliminated everyone on their path. They've killed the final boss, I guess. And then on the third one, you'll see what's left, and what else is there to do besides to reign in hell after he killed the devil. But I've never thought of giving him a name like what's the Dio guy?
I don't know the Dio's guy's name.
Or like a Vic Rattlehead or something like that.
Okay.
Right.
Or like he doesn't have to be your...
But we have had like a history of women on our album covers, and that's not going away.
So it's kind of trying to figure out kind of the trilogy idea. Is it kind of a bigger story that threads through the records, or is it more of a shared theme thing?
It's more of a shared theme thing, because I mean they're all about movies themselves. So the first one is Only Hunger Remains, so it's about consumption in different ways. It could be literal in terms of cannibalism. It could be like The Brood is kind of about how families consume each other. So that fit into it that way. Worms is nature taking over the earth again. So that was like about consumption. This one was based more on like deities and hell and demons, which is like Rawhead Rex, and Just Before Dawn is more about nature, but nature is the greatest supernatural life form on earth, right? So and reclaiming it and killing some humans. So that's kind of where it's going. The next one, the ideas are there. It's not fully formed, but it's gonna have more of a. I'm not telling you. Only because I might not know exactly.
He could tell us, but he'd have to kill us. So.
Yeah, and I might have to figure it out. But sometimes these things come in like one big swoop of inspiration.
So was it hard coordinating the drop date being Halloween for the album?
So that's kind of our goal every year
Mhm.
with these EPs. That was last year. I believe it was the day before, whatnot. And we're going to aim for that same thing next year for these three. And then we're going to take a little break and change our dynamic. What happened was COVID really scarred us. We recorded a record called A Gruesome Encounter, and we wanted to put a big record with 15 songs out, and we did. And then COVID happened, and we were able to do nothing to just support it for a while. So that really, really stunted things. Moving forward, we said to ourselves, let's do shorter bursts of things. Let's do 4 new songs, 2 cover songs each time. Let's do a medley as one of the cover songs. Let's get really creative and make some fun stuff that we want to see in the death metal scene, you know? Any elaboration? Did I answer the question fully?
I don't know. Did you? Do you feel like you did?
I don't remember.
It also sounds very algorithm friendly for Spotify, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it fits our band being a horror band, and I think it was just a coincidence. I think it kind of shoots us in the foot because most best of lists are made by like this time anyway, you know. I feel like a lot of those to come out for your December issue of like Decibel or something or any kind of like website, they're kind of like, you know. So like I think we kind of shoot ourselves in the foot with that, but it's too cool of a date not to have your stuff come out on. So
we're sticking to the theme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mike is just, he gets it, and he just was like, yeah.
So as far as Halloween, what was your favorite costume that you yourself wore or that you saw to date?
JP is the Halloween. He's the king of dressing up for Halloween. His wife is a big Halloween fan, so they are I
don't know. I think my favorite was dressing as Satan's little helper. Well, I was dressed as Satan, and my wife was Satan's little helper, like the little kid from the movies. Satan little helper. That's my favorite. But we've done everything from like John Waters movies to like Twin Peaks. We just did.
Your Tarman last year?
Yeah, Tarman and
your wife was trash.
And trash.
What a sentence. But, trash. The character trash.
We had fun doing it. You know, I mean, we really watch movies like horror movies all the time. Is on in our house all the time.
We played we played this thing called the Lunar Fair like this past weekend, which is a big festival up in New Jersey. That's just very, I don't even know how to describe it. Just a big witchy or Halloweeny thing, and it's like we played it. The amount of costumes and the ingenuity some of these people have is just like shocking. A lot of cool Yellow Jackets costumes I saw that were pretty creepy, and like a Jack Skellington that was like 12 feet tall. The dude was just walking around in it, and my son was not into him talking to him.
A lot of people dressed up as the creepy woman from Weapons already out there. I couldn't believe how fast that happened.
Yeah.
But there was a little kid dressed as Sam from Trick or Treat. That was really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I used to work for this part-time for this little restaurant. It was a little family owned, and they went all crazy on Halloween. And of course, we always had a band, but they had a contest. And the prize was like $500 gift card to the restaurant. Well, people came like they had been like on a special effects thing. It was nuts what they come out with.
Yeah.
But the craziest one was this guy. He was in an electric chair. So, of course, his real legs were underneath, but it was seamless. It looked like he was sitting in the chair. And he was just walking around, and he had the big thing on his head, and he could zap himself, and blood would come down. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, this year we did this year. I was the Joaquin Phoenix Joker, and she was the Lady Gaga Harley Quinn, right? And the costume turned out really good, and the makeup turned out really good. But when I saw the pictures, I was like, were we going for new metal? Because we look new metal, you know. Whatever. That's the clowns have become new metal, I guess.
You weren't going for it. Both of those iterations of those characters from that movie are extremely new metal. We feel that as well. I've been saying that.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it was really crazy.
Yeah, I didn't expect that.
So, when you originally came up with this concept, it sounds like you knew it was going to be a 3-parter. And did it evolve that way, or was it always going to be a trilogy?
Yeah, that was the idea. Yep. I think there was an initial thought of doing cassettes, because cassettes were kind of like becoming a big thing then. And me and Joe loved the idea of a box set that we could take the 3 cassettes and put them into a little piece of cardboard, like the carcass collection.
That's why we're doing a
pretty much,
trilogy,
just so we can make
the
a
box at the end.
box that it goes into.
Okay, cool.
It makes it very collectible.
Yeah, for
Like
no other
buckets of
reason.
chicken.
Yeah, I mean, we're obsessive physical media guys, and we love that shit so badly.
It's dying, but we won't let it die. We won't.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would have never expected cassettes to come back, because I'm a child of the 80s, and all we used them for was we would get a good play of the vinyl onto a nice Maxell cassette, and then we could treat it like shit. We could put the vinyl away, and we just throw the cassettes around in our car and shit. I never would have thought that people would go out of their way to want cassettes. It just blew my mind, but
I wish I had taken a lot of my CDs and put them on cassettes and just had a cassette player, because I destroyed so many CDs by being a drunken asshole in my car and just throwing shit around and making a maniac, and then waking up and be like, oh, it's on the ground.
Remember those early commercials? I think it was for like TDK or something, when they were on the verge of inventing the CD, and the guy is on the beach and he throws the CD and the dog catches it, and then he puts it in, it plays. That never happened.
No.
Yeah,
That was probably like 1985 or something.
dog chomping on a cassette.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, CD, that thing's done forever.
It's
Really?
done.
It was really crazy.
Mm.
Quartz wanted us to do their new album, and they're really old.
Right,
So,
the new wave of British heavy metal band,
you know-
Quartz from the UK. Yeah,
Tommy Iommi tried out for their band. Those
yeah,
guys,
they've been around forever. Yeah.
they're really, really old. And we had reviewed Malcolm before, so he mailed us a copy of the CD.
Yeah.
Mailed it, not MP3s. No, he mailed it with a handwritten letter.
Yeah,
So, which I have back here somewhere. But
very old school.
then I thought, we don't have a CD player. So luckily I have one in my car because the album wasn't out yet. So I'm like, well, I guess I'll listen back and forth on the way
Right.
to work.
Yeah, like I have the first Aerosmith album on vinyl, CD, and 8-track, and I don't have an 8-track player,
Hell yeah.
but that 8-track is one of my prized possessions. Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because we just packed up shipping some of our new album and shirts and stuff, and shipping prices are so crazy, and it's wild to me to think that I used to send like literally just a few shekels to Russia or Brazil, and a guy would send a cassette tape in an envelope. And
Yeah.
sometimes it would take months on end, but like when tape trading was not always tape trading, it was just sometimes here's $2, literally $2 in a piece of paper.
Yeah.
But like it was now to ship one thing, it's like $5, but like a cassette would just show up at my house. My mom would be like, what is this thing with 1,000 stamps on it? And I would open it up and it was like this weird demo called like I don't know, Sex with Roadkill. It was just like some kids in like some random like Eastern Bloc country, and it's in my house. It was sent to me, and it was such a cool thing back then to have those physical media things to send. Like the idea of like, I used to think like the idea of just taking a cassette of your music and leaving it in like a phone booth, which is a wild thing to think of. Well, phone booth,
Yeah.
like, and just like maybe someone will find this, and it's like the idea of like a scary, like the idea that media could be scary, where bands were terrifying. Like death metal was a scary thing. There's a history to it. This little physical thing now is in your house, and you would be like, it's like a Stephen King book or in your house when you're a kid, and you don't even want to look at the cover, but you know it's on the coffee table. So you I used to flip it over so I couldn't see the cover of the little kid on the whatever, or the communion book with the alien. That would always freak me out. But anyway, these things are like that's like a cool thing. I would love for us to be able to bring that back and do something like that, but I don't know if that's even possible in this.
He's not young anymore, though. I mean, if Morbid Angel and Pestilence, they're old enough for Social Security benefits at this point. You know what I mean? Like, death metal is not a young person anymore. But I'll tell you what, at MDF this year, we saw Asphyx.
Yeah.
And Martin looked so cool. He had that long kind of like Hogwarts hair,
He's so tall.
and that voice. And I thought, he's decaying gracefully. This genre is,
It's like a wizard.
yeah, it fit. It tracked really well.
And it's cool. He's one of the few guys too that has like a mystique, because it's like I feel like I remember reading a story once in a magazine that he would wear this like gas mask or some kind of helmet to do his vocals in because he couldn't yell in his apartment. I think he's from Denmark, I believe, right? And wherever, and like he just screams into this death like, and that's like,
Oh no, Netherlands. He's from the Netherlands. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true, but I heard it.
Yeah.
I know it's in here. So
That's so funny. Yeah.
those little mysteries like that are great, like,
Yeah, or like what's it, Peter from Vader, who said that because he was behind the Iron Curtain or whatever, that in Poland they would get in a car and they would drive like an hour and a half to somebody else's house because they had half of a VHS of a Slayer song, of a Slayer video, like just, it's die hard to the core, you know what I mean? Whereas we're like, this Wi-Fi signal sucks here. Finish your latte, So, Yeah.
So I did love Rawhead Rex. I think that kicked things off perfect with oh my gosh. So where did you come across this particular story? It's a kind of a more obscure thing about the whole guy running around Ireland and peeing on people and killing people. And how did you decide what part of the film sample you were gonna use? It's a very haunting one.
I definitely found the original Books of Blood in like a used bookstore back in my town growing up in Bloomfield, New Jersey. And I don't really know how those things kind of mesh, especially how other like people write vocals, or it's just kind of like any other musical instrument, how like JP decides to put bass into it, or how like you do it, where it's just like the vibe gets there. And it's just like you guys listening to your review, I literally remember just thinking like, oh, they got it for that song, because it's like the way you described it was literally when these guys were playing it, and that's usually how it works, is like these guys will put together the song and I put my input in, and as I'm listening to it, usually the song is written before I find the theme. But it was like a demon lumbering through the woods or lumbering through the Scottish Highlands, and like the word lumbering is the perfect word because that's what that riff was like. And it just, being a fan of the movie as well, and then like it might have just been a movie I had watched recently, and it just fit perfectly symbiotically. And like the humor of the sample was always a thing. I like the idea of having a sample that's a little ominous but also has a dark sense of humor, and that's why I picked that one, because it was kind of funny, and I kind of wanted a punchy funny sample that was still like a little weird to start the album.
I thought it picked up the campiness of it, the way he's kind of hysterical.
Yeah, and that character, if you watch that movie, that character.
Yeah, there's even a story he wrote, and I believe it's supposed to be for children, called The Thief of Always. It's absolutely terrifying. It's this kid basically he doesn't like his house, he's objecting to his parents, and this guy comes and basically kidnaps him and puts him like into this other dimension, and he lives in this house where there's all this food and this, that, and the other thing. They have Christmas every day, but what he finds out is like kids are like disappearing.
Yeah.
And they're turning him into these really ugly fish in this thing. I mean, it's absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
And he's got to figure out how he's getting out of this other dimension and back home.
And I will also say that I went back and watched Nightbreed about a year ago, and I thought this is going to be so cheesy. It is not. That movie holds up. It is a fucking masterpiece. It looks great. So
it's a great movie because like the monsters are the good guys, and the
exactly right. He was ahead of his time. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of those kids' stories, like it's funny, even going back to Hans Christian Andersen, where they're just like, I don't know why people thought kids' stories need to always have murdered children in them.
Yes.
At least Disney's like, we're gonna kill the parents in these, and like we're gonna kill the parents. Back then, it was wild how dark, and I guess it was just adults being like, I don't want to. We'll just scare the fuck out of these kids.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the really old fairy tales. It's like the central theme, especially in Europe, is if you don't do exactly what you're told by adults, something awful will happen to you. I mean,
I guess it might just be like a control thing where they're like, we need these kids to tend to the farm and clean the cabin that we're in. And like, if they realize they hate it here, they're going to leave. So like, just tell them like, if you leave the forest, if you leave this house, you're screwed. Like,
yeah.
Which
figure? Also, in a lot of old European stories, like fairy tales, there's a lot of wolves.
Yeah.
Like, so it must have just been that like wolves were a real problem. Like don't go wandering around outside at night because there's wolves, So it's just hard to imagine now in the modern era, but
it's like
if you lived in the Ukraine or something in 1905, it was a problem.
So I definitely love the guitar tones. It has that old school menace, and they kind of go slightly off kilter, especially on She Who Kills. I love that.
Yeah.
Are you running a certain down tuning or using some kind of pedals, or is a little bit of both to kind of capture that sound?
So I run a drop A sharp, so pretty lower to the C.
C drop A sharp, but
But the tone is just the amp, just the head, 2 heads, no pedals. I
And
pride myself in that actually. I get that
Yeah.
often. A lot of people are like, "Oh, that tone's pretty cool." I'm like, "Yep, it's just 2 head,
Usually two heads.
2 heads."
You
Yeah.
know, run them one to each side
Yeah.
of the.
2
2/5, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
It's a really good secret sauce for sure.
Thank you.
So if money were no object, what guitar would you just pick? Would it be a certain brand, body style, maybe one of those two-necker things?
I don't
Or
know.
previously owned by such and such, you know.
We've been making a lot of jokes about Cheap Trick's guitars lately.
Nielsen?
So that's a funny reference.
Yeah, I don't know. Right now I'm rocking a Dunnable, and it's a little bit not death metal. It's a blue guitar, a little bit more of a rocking shape. But I also have a BC Rich Beast, and which is a wild shape. So I don't know. I kind of like whatever is feeling right at that moment.
Yeah, we went to a museum in DC and they had Eddie Van Halen's like guitar there. I was like, wow. It was even a little beat up, so but I was surprised. They didn't even have it under glass. I'm like, I want to touch it, but I don't think I should.
Like
a relic.
Willie Nelson's guitar that has like that big hole in it
He
from
still plays it. That's
bashing on
crazy.
it, which is such a great thing to see the wear and tear.
So for She Who Kills, was it inspired by a particular myth, movie, or nightmare? Or more importantly, what or who does she kill?
The sample, the chant samples from a movie called Suffer Little Children. That's like this 80s shot on video movie from England that was made by a drama school of children, and their teachers wrote this movie for them to kind of make a movie in this little house. And it's about a new girl comes to the school, and well, it's not a school in the movie, it's like an orphanage type place, and she's possessed by the devil and starts making people kill the other people in the house. At one point there's like a picnic with zombies that shows up. Jesus shows up to take out the devil at the end, and once again these are all children. The sound is like not synced up properly. There's like, you know, scenes are edited, like there's so much space, but it's I love it so much. But that chant sample that you guys heard in the beginning and end of it was just something I've had in my brain for wanting to use for years. And it just seemed like this album, because it was kind of like the religious based album, and the riff that Steve came up with, the black metal-y kind of riff that was started before I knew I wanted to use that for the sample. I was like, all right, so maybe we'll just start with that. And then when these guys started breaking down that part where Joe's doing the drums and the music kind of fades out, I was like, oh, it'd be so perfect to bring it back into that. And it was pretty much just me wanting to use that sample that I've been obsessed with for years.
Yeah.
It was like a minute long. In my brain, I would have been like, we're gonna loop that for 3 minutes straight.
Oh my god.
Like I want people to listen to this in their car and just drive off the road because their body, their soul goes to fucking Hades and they're done. But you know, you can't do that. That's horrible. But yeah, like I just really like that sample was the core. And I was having such a hard time with the title, but there's a movie called Trilogy of Terror with Karen Black. It's got the Zuni fetish doll that attacks her. It's like a trilogy, and that little segment is actually called She Who Kills. So I stole that from there.
Okay.
The title is about a girl who comes into this house and kills people, and it's just a badass title, I thought. So it took a lot. And then there's another sample over in there that's from Mask of the Red Death, Vincent Price movie with the I Want to See Your Face. And that's another sample I've just been obsessed with for years and I wanted to use. And just like, we wanted a song really that was like apocalyptic to end this for. And just adding those samples really brought a level of malevolence to it that was already there in the music. But like, I mean, we've listened to that and been like, this is like almost our crowning achievement of just
It's a crescendo.
Yeah, and it's just it just is such a wildly, I don't know. I'm really proud of what we did with that song.
In our process, this was the earliest that samples ever came about. Usually there's something sprinkled on at the end. We do like a 3 recording. Like when we write new music, it gets recorded in a shitty way on JP's phone. Then we do a nice pre-production in the studio where we're at, and then we finally go and record it. Those kind of original recordings Rocco was taking them home and adding samples and coming back the next week on the shit phone recording. He was already this time around showing us, like, especially at the beginning of Rawhead, where there's samples dipping in and out while the music's going quiet and whatnot. That was the most preconceived it's ever been. It actually kind of shaped like the song and like how we feel about it. I don't know how to put it any better than that, but he wrote these songs skeletons with us by shaping where the samples were going to go, and we knew beforehand this time, so it was really cool.
Every
That
time
is really cool, yeah.
It's always been put in like, you know, and when we record like the third time.
Yeah.
But we get an idea where we want to put them when we do the second recording or first. I don't know. You gotta ask Rocco, but yeah. So this was like the first time the samples all came through with the writing process.
That's great. Yeah. So the samples are like an instrument in the song. Yeah.
Yeah,
It really is.
I'm definitely a big Ministry fan and love the idea of having samples integrated into the actual music and it be an instrument themselves. Like some Ministry songs that just have like repeated samples, maybe not necessarily like Burning Inside, like are bigger songs, but they have songs on there that are almost like sonic escapes, and like Cold Meat Industries with like Brighter Death Now, these like industrial bands that just have samples used over and over. Just I love that sound in movies.
Yeah.
Esoteric is a doom band that always has really cool long samples, and sometimes I never even proposed them early in our band because I was like, I don't know if these guys are into that vibe. But like, you know, like
We're into it.
I know. But it's
Yeah.
like sometimes you just want to do like, you know, you want to, I don't know. I just thought that I don't know. Yeah, the samples it just makes me happy when I hear them in songs.
Well, it's funny, like with the Sex Mutant Demon, I loved, but I thought the ranting samples on there were of like a homeless guy, but it was Gigi Allen when I looked into it. I was
Same
like,
difference.
oh, I got it now. So I really loved Return of the Deadly Spawn, which I'm guessing is the movie shot right there in New Jersey. Is there a horror movie where you actually prefer the sequel to the original?
Oh gosh, that's interesting.
Troll 2.
Oh my god.
I think that's a good one.
That's with the baseball they throw down the stairs?
No, well, no.
Oh my god.
I think I'm a bigger Creepshow 2 fan than I am Creepshow 1.
With the floating trash bag on the water and all, really?
The Raft is one of my. I think The Raft is the most perfect 25 minutes of horror. If you check out our album, Born to Rot, there's a song called The Raft. It's my favorite song.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
I only did pools after that as a kid for
Yeah,
a really
yeah.
long time. That was my justification. I was like, ain't messing with anything in the lake. Are you kidding me? Never.
Gremlins 2 as well is a better sequel.
I will say that Jeffrey Dahmer and I both agree that Exorcist 3 is better than Exorcist 1.
It's like nausea.
Yeah,
Like,
Exorcist 3 is like one of my favorite movies of all time. Yeah. So.
You got a lot of other opinions that you and Jeffrey share.
Well, I didn't realize. I thought people were making that up just to fuck with me, and then I watched a documentary where he's like waiting for a guy to fall asleep, and they're watching fucking Exorcist 3, and I'm like, oh my god, they weren't kidding.
To the point where you're like, oh, that was just funny, but then it was, oh, that's in the actual show, right?
No, it really happened. Yeah, but I still stand by it. I mean, George C. Scott, Exorcist 3, one of my favorites. Yeah.
So I was checking out those crazy worm things on the cover of that movie. If you had to fight them, what the hell would be your weapon of choice?
I mean, you're in a basement, right? Because that's what kind of where he found them, or just in general. Jesus.
Doesn't he use like a pole or a staff or something? I don't
Well,
know.
'cause he
I'm
figures-
trying to think. I haven't seen the movie in a while.
He figures out that they're they don't have sight, so that he's kind of like avoiding them by sound, which I guess Quiet Place ripped off the Deadly Spawn, which is how most of us happen to re-originate things in New Jersey. You know, that people rip them off. I don't know. I'd probably use my stealth nature to run around them from behind.
Your stealth, yeah.
Your stealth nature. Yeah.
Run away and hide.
I'd use my ability to be my old shoplifting skills to be as small and as deceptive as possible, and run around the back and maybe get them from behind.
Yeah.
I thought that was really scary in The Last of Us, if you've seen that, with the blind fungi people.
yeah.
And when they come up out of the ground, I'm like, they're done.
Yeah.
And there's something about something like that, you know, has one diminished sense that makes the other things heightened, which is like just a superpower. So I don't have any of those.
The Last of Us enemies, we stand no chance against. But The Quiet Place, as long as you can shut the fuck up and just chill for a little bit,
Doesn't she have a child? Doesn't she like have a child and keep quiet in that movie?
He got a live
gives
fresh
birth,
baby
right?
in there. I don't know how they pulled that off.
Yeah, that's a little too much restraint, you know.
Crazy.
And not shutting up would kill me after 3 beers. I'd be fucking murdered.
Yeah.
I will say after I do have a full-size Milwaukee Sawzall, and I think that would be a formidable weapon. And it's too heavy-handed to use for any home improvement unless you're just destroying things. So I think, but see, with my luck, it would be like, fuck, I didn't charge it.
Yeah, there's no charged batteries in my home right now.
Exactly.
She does a blunt
God
weapon.
damn it. You know.
So the Genesis cover, which he was been singing the original version all week. Thank you
Damn
very
you
much.
guys. I keep singing the original, god damn it.
Hell yeah.
It might be one of the most unexpected moves in death metal this year. How did this happen? Was it like a serious experiment or late night? What if we moment? But I love how you kept the original guitar line.
I'm going to let you answer this, but I will say there's zero irony at all in that cover. A lot of people would assume that it's like, oh, they're taking the piss, but like that is a 100% loved piece of music, a loved band, a very important band, and I think the Genesis, no pun intended, was from our original idea to do a Peter Gabriel cover, and then maybe it turned into that, right?
Our parents love Genesis. We love Genesis. Peter Gabriel solo, Phil Collins solo. It's not a mistake that the album is called Something Happened on the Way to Hell. There's a Phil Collins song called Something Happened on the Way to Heaven, which is one of his friggin' best jams. It's not adjacent to what we do at all. We love like the Genesis record, you know, Duke and like Avocad. We love those. And misunderstanding for musicians, I'm going to say at our level, which is we cannot handle crazy progressive rock. Misunderstanding was like the lowest hanging fruit for us from Genesis to do. It's a classic song that we love. We know we can handle that song because it's, 3/4. We could totally handle that, or 2, whatever.
We weren't doing like Trick of the Tail or Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. We could.
Yeah, we can't handle stuff when Peter Gabriel was still in the band, but after he left, we could totally do it.
Yeah. She played it for me, and the first thing out of my mouth was, "That's on Duke." Like that was the first thing that came out of my mouth. I was just like, "Yeah, okay, yeah."
Well, the thing is that Duke is a very metal album. It's the greatest divorce album ever written. It's like it's a black metal vocal without the Satan part, but like it's a very depressed man just wallowing in the fucking hell he has created for himself. And that's fucking some of the most metal shit you can write music about.
Well, and if you tried to do that early stuff, you'd have to get like a Wurlitzer or something, and that's not very death metal.
I have to get like a weird bubble outfit with like raven wings,
just like a tomato. Yeah,
But I thought you guys did it really well, and I thought it pulled off. Like I did a review of Hooded Menace, and they did Duran, Save It Till the Morning, after. Oh my God, it was. I just said. And they also did this Duran thing I'm not going to talk about. It just, when he was growling, we could call it a one-night stand. I'm like, no. No. But I thought you guys really nailed this. It came off just creepy.
Thank you. All right, cool.
Great. I mean, there was a lot of like figuring out how the very minimal keyboard part would be integrated. And it was like, kind of like, I think that we just did it by having the guitar part just be so thick and lay into the riff of it.
And we kept the woo in there. I mean,
yeah, you did.
It was hard. We had one, we pitch corrected it, and we used that same one. But I did attempt to get it in tune, but that's a tough one.
I remember that in the 90s when Primus did The Intruder, Peter Gabriel.
See,
so fucking great. I mean, it's still just unbelievable with those. The way Herb nails the drums is just so fucking great,
Me and Joe talk about Tony Levin at practice every day, even though like there's no chance I can play it.
We're huge Tony Levin and Les Claypool fans, like Primus, right? They did that.
Oh yeah.
They also did what song did you just mention?
The Intruder.
They did Intruder. They also did Family in the Fishing Net, right? That's another great Peter Gabriel song, another heavy ass one. So like when that Les Claypool covering Peter Gabriel is like me and him talking about that influences us to cover Genesis and stuff. We're like, well, if they can make it heavy and Primus and cool, we can also take Peter Gabriel, Phil Collins, and make it like death metal-ish,
Yeah.
I also loved Unsuccessfully Coping with the Lost. It's kind of, I was confused at first until I realized it was a medley, because I'm like, are they making their own lyrics? But then it's like, but you also have tackled before Bloody Kisses medley. So what is it about Typo Negative? And believe me, I love them, that keeps kind of drawing you back to these crazy medleys.
We love Typo Negative. It's just another thing. We're like, there's so many songs we want to do. We can't do all of them. We physically don't know how to do all of them. We picked like the craziest stoner riff, the best riffs on Bloody Kisses, threw all those things together. And then like, again, like the Les Claypool thing, when Typo Negative covered Black Sabbath, they did the song Black Sabbath, but it also had elements of like Fairies Wear Boots and Dirty Women. There's all these other like Easter eggs, because that's the kind of band Typo Negative was. So we Typo Negative by it's a Bloody Kisses medley, but we titled it with a song that's from Slow Deep and Hard, and then we also stuck in one line from that from one of the songs from Slow Deep and Hard in there as an Easter egg. It's literally for 3 people. It's for Josh Silver, Kenny Hickey, and Johnny Kelly. If they listen to it, they'll go, "Oh, fuck them. That's funny." Okay.
That's funny.
And by like most people looking at Typo from like their big 90s, being on every soundtrack from Know What You Did Last Summer and Blair Witch and stuff like that. Yeah. But like people think of them as that doom band, and like, you know, like we joke on stage a lot about like how they took those hardcore kind of songs off the re-release of Bloody Kisses.
Oh yeah, the re-release of Bloody Kisses is whack.
Yeah,
oh
they put that one song on there, so we shoved them back in, and it's like, that's the most we don't care what you think kind of thing, because it's like, you're going to do Typo Negative song, but we're not doing some slow dirge and like that. Doing a Typo Negative sound has been ripped off by a million bands since Typo Negative. So it's like, well, no, like we'll do the fucking shit that a lot of people don't even think about as them as having done. So
they've influenced people in a lot of different ways, but you don't typically hear a lot of heavy bands calling influence from Typo Negative. And we were like, hey, you know what? We can't do what they did, but we hate everyone as like a friggin' anthem. So like we had to do that, and that became the bookends of it. I made that medley kind of with waves, and I put it together and I sent it to them, and I was like, hey, can we do this? And we learned it and just kind of made it our own.
We had Dan we had an interview with Dan Liker on the show, and he toured with them when they were Carnivore.
Awesome.
And he said his only comment was, yeah, I heard Typo Negative, and I was like, okay, look who's Mr. Sensitive now.
Yeah, I mean, he's a fascinating individual, Peter, still, and it's like
one of a kind.
Yeah.
And that's like the best way to like to say the influence might be the music or might just be the attitude is even something cooler. And he's a Polak, this guy, and I'm a little Polish too. So
me too.
I got one right here.
Nice.
Oh yeah, totally.
I mean, if you go to New Jersey, you're gonna find a lot of Italian Polak combinations, because it's just how it's how we run.
So I love your collaboration with Running Duck Brewing, and what an interesting brew this is. It's a little stout, a little coffee, a little caca. Did you guys have a hand in developing that, or you were just like, no, we like it, put our name on it?
So I'm good friends with the owner, and I apprenticed up there about 10 years, a little over 10 years ago. And he's a big metalhead also, and that was about the time when Shane started playing, and we were getting to the point where we were playing out, had enough songs, and we were like, hey, do you ever think about doing a show in the brewery? And he had to do a little convincing with his wife, but she got on board, and now this is the 10th one. So it's been a really our favorite show of the year.
And he asked us like what flavor we might like, and Steve was like, what are you guys thinking? And I was like, I like stouts and stuff like that. So I'm like, how about like a chocolate coffee stout? That's a cool thing. It's a little nitro, a little fuel. And it's like they come back and it's like a 10.5% beer. And it's a big beer. It's a heavy beer. Joe Ott, who was pretty much drinking nothing but Coors Gold and Miller Lights before then. And it's great. But like the first few shows we played where it's like, hey, like this is our beer. We have to drink this beer at the show. Those are some sloppy shows. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, 10%. Yeah.
Like, and it's a thick beer. So I would always have one during the set, and it'd be gesticulating wildly, and there's tar on the ground, and like.
God.
If you eat a piece of pumpkin pie with that beer, it's awesome. And if you treat it like a dessert compliment, it'll work for you real good.
Ice cream.
Right.
There you do. Pour down some ice cream. Done deal.
We're doing a cool for the 10th show this year. They're doing a barrel aged version of it as well. So some of last year's batch has been sitting in a bourbon barrel
Wow.
And it's going to be in a bottle for this year too.
Even better.
Adds a whole nother layer. I like it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, probably a couple extra points on the ABV.
Definitely.
Lord. I love strong beers. My favorite is this Le Fin de Monde. It's a Belgian, and what's that, 9%?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Those are some of the greatest beer labels of all time as well. The most metal beer labels, right? Am I not right?
Yeah.
Dumont is end of the world.
Thank you, Jay.
I
No,
don't know.
no
any
one could have
French.
Googled that.
I don't know much French. I'm not French, but
Pardon while JP spreads his legs and mansplains that.
Yeah, he knows that from the Megadeth song. All right. Yeah. Nice job.
Yeah, well, I remember we interviewed the guys from Morbid Saint last year, and they said that back in the day, they knew they could play super tight sober, but their goal was then they would be like, all right, let's get drunk, and now we'll play. They wanted to be, their goal was to be super tight
Drunk.
when they were blitzed. Yeah. Like alcohol was part of their mission statement.
It's an interesting
Yeah.
goal to have. I like it.
Yeah.
What I would tell people when I would talk to people who were younger than me, I would be like, if you want to survive driving drunk, just don't drive like an asshole normal, and you won't like drive like an asshole when you're
Good point.
drunk, and you won't get pulled over.
Well, the worst for me was always driving hungover, because when you're driving drunk, you're super careful. But when you're driving hungover, you're like, you know what? If I hit that tree, at least I can get some fucking sleep.
That's when you get to the red light and you're like, I'm just gonna close my eyes for 3 seconds at this.
Yeah. Yeah. Driving hungover, way more dangerous. Yeah.
Can be. It can be.
So also, it looks like you have your 10 Years of Horror show coming up at that brewery. What's your pre-show ritual before hitting the stage?
All right.
We
Definitely involves
Weed.
Canada
drinking.
Dry for sure. Definitely involves a vape, any kind of smoking apparatuses. You guys, what do you do before we play?
He's the biggest enigma. He's usually just the most stoic one.
Oh, you just sitting around judging everybody. Oh, yeah, you shouldn't be doing that. Oh man, I can't believe I don't have to do that. Yeah, it's cool. Bro.
I think he's pretty much just keeping track of all three of us. And at the end, like, where are those guys? They're outside. I'll get them. Where am I? He gets to my wife, and my wife finds me. And then, like, Steve makes everything happen. Because otherwise, I think, I think 50% of this band would forget we were there for a show. And, so, yeah, it's definitely, like, not like, I've often thought maybe there needs to be some kind of, like, some.
Oh, we do a
get
hug
together.
I'm down.
And,
Yeah.
you know, but, like,
No, it's like hide and go seek.
yeah, it's a little more like we do our own thing, and we'll get together.
I'll keep track of the time.
Make
you
sure the
know,
set list
We know
is-
where we gotta be when we gotta
there.
be.
Oh
there.
yeah, there's a pre-show like set list check. Like, hey, what songs did we play? We texted you. Like, oh, okay. Can we write it down? Then we
Once
write
again,
it
that's
down.
Steve doing all that stuff with that information. I write it on a piece of paper and lose that piece of paper, and then ask him on the stage and try to write it again. So,
Wait, are we playing that song? Are you sure? Can we play this one?
and I always have like a hippie freak out. I'm like, no, we shouldn't play that. We should do this one instead. And Steve's like, okay. And then I don't even know if he listens to me or also. It's not the most kumbaya-esque thing. Not that we're arguing, but it's just kind of like
There's an ebb and flow.
Yeah.
we all have our ways
It
to
all
like,
works out.
yeah, like to manage our nerves and our excitement and to make sure we're doing what we need to do.
So for your vocal warm up, do you do the tea thing or do you do a shot? Or we actually heard Bear Mace said they eat Chef Boyardee right out of the can is his vocal
Whoa,
warm up.
Wow, that sounds
Is
rough.
it coach the go? Yeah.
I don't really do anything. I remember like people being like, you shouldn't drink cold things before a show, and like, I don't know. It's a very much just
I think this next time.
try not to think about what I have to do and how much work I have to do. But yeah, there's really not much vocal stuff because I'm still talking wildly and chatting everyone up. So like, there's no saving it. I feel like, I don't know, the adrenaline's gonna kick in, and I don't know, if I'm not being who I am normally, then doing the things I do on stage are gonna be like a different thing. Where if I just kind of like I'm hanging out and talking to people and getting comfortable in the environment that I'm in and hanging out with my friends, then getting up on the stages for 30 minutes is just going to come naturally. Well, if I'm doing some weird, herbal cleanse and have a neti pot or something like that, then it's going to be such a weird thing that I might just be like, why am I even out here? So it's a pretty much just hang out and have a good time. Maybe the biggest thing is to not to party too much before the set is.
Yeah.
So it's just your God-given ability.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Satan given ability. Yeah.
Yes.
Going down.
All right, so we play a game on the show. I think you guys will like it.
All right.
It's called Blaspheming Monikers. Okay. And the way it works is I have 5 band names in front of me. One of them is made up. So I want you guys to take turns guessing which one of these is a fake band name.
Okay.
And we went with a steel theme this week. So here we go. Steel Fingers, Steel Visions, Rapid Steel, Tyranny of Steel, and Steel Feather. Who wants to take a shot?
Yeah, because it's like
I don't know.
I don't know. Picture the Judas Priest album with the eagle that's metal. Like there's some steel feathers and metal.
The only reason I'm thinking the tyranny is real because it reminds me of the Bruce
Yeah,
Dickinson album, but I know that ain't the right title either.
That sounds like a new metal thing.
I'm going finger.
Finger? Finger?
Go ahead.
I would go finger.
Steel Finger, they are real. They're heavy metal from Singapore,
Oh,
and they only have one appearance on a various artist comp in 1989 because they probably got arrested and are still in jail for being in Singapore. So that leaves
Did they
Steel
get their name
Feather,
based off of
Steel
the
Visions, Rapid
piano
Steel,
movie?
and Tyranny of Steel. So
Remember in the movie The Piano, she gets her finger cut off and she has the little steel finger that she uses to play the piano. Is that what that's based off of?
I guess
It might be.
they were dressed like Wham or something, in the Metal Archive. So yeah. So
You want to go feather? We gotta say feather. Steel feather.
okay.
That's real.
Yep, heavy metal from Japan. They only have one EP, but they're real. So
Oh, I knew it.
What are we left with?
Tyranny of Steel, Rapid Steel, and Steel Visions.
Steel Vision sounds stupid to me.
Steel.
Okay, that's ding, ding, ding. You got it. That's the
Nice.
pick. Very good. Very good. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that Tyranny of Souls thing because I thought of that when I was putting this together. Like
Love that record.
that album got completely dumped because it was
love
just
it.
like, oh, you're back in Maiden now. Fuck your solo album. You know.
Yo.
Yeah.
He brought Yannick Garris back with him. That was like the best of his solo career, and then they stuck in Maiden forever, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Weird time. Yeah. So.
Yup.
So I love the drumming on this record. The fact that sometimes you're a doom pace, because God knows I'm a doom girl at heart of down. But then you kind of tempo it up all the way into blast beats and back. Is it hard to transition between the two, or is it just an easy flow for you?
It's actually like necessary. I write the parts in. I can only blast for so long. I'll be honest, I write those other parts in to break it up, and that kind of gives us a nice variety. And it has to do with like my stamina and everything. I wouldn't even want to blast that long. We're our friend's band, Organ Dealer, their drummer, Eric, he's a fantastic, crazy guy, and he'll go a million miles an hour like the entire set. I would be breathless after that. So I write in parts back and forth to give myself a break.
And it adds, I think, a good depth of sound. I think it works perfectly.
If some of these guys from Europe and Scandinavia, I mean, there's a band called Orm. We interviewed them last show. They're from Denmark, and the drummer, he also writes. He writes songs and drums, and he was just talking about how his muse is the guy from Porcupine Tree.
Okay,
That,
great guy.
I forget the guy's name, but he's been in King Crimson and stuff too, and that he feels that if the guitar line repeats more than a couple bars, it's the drummer's job to kind of spice it up, and he should be blasting or doing double pedal, or it's basically you need to turn into the guy from Ulcerate if you feel like the guitar is too repetitive. Yeah.
Yeah, we talk about that. That's part of the songwriting where like if Steve's playing, Steve has riff ADD as well. Like if he doesn't want to play the same riff for more than 8. I'm like, sometimes you got to give us a little time to like build up before the vocal comes in or change.
Yeah.
But like sometimes if like it is repeating, just Joe just doing a gallop instead of a blast, instead of a, and like we have all these shorthands too that we have where it's just like do this thing, this kind of.
Yeah, I got like my 8 moves that I'll do, like my double time and the Cannibal Corpse, constant kick, there's all different kinds of that you rely on as part of the band's identity. And we talk about it jokingly when we write that, because sometimes you'll write a song, you're like, that sounds awfully familiar. And you're like, oh, we already wrote this riff. It's just read off from before, like, but it's us. It's like, it's us.
Yeah, but then you go back and listen to something like Leprosy or Pierce from Within, and you're like, wow, they did that riff for a good minute and a half, and it wasn't enough. I want more.
my
It's
God.
just the classic stuff. Like I don't know. I don't know. The riffs were so strong. It's like you didn't have to do all that. I guess.
That first suffocation appears from within is like the definition of repeat.
Oh, it
good
is
riff.
totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I went back and listened to it not that long ago. I was like, wow, there's no harmonic squeals on this. This is prior to the harmonic squeal era.
That was
Wow.
not popular yet. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't. That wasn't a thing yet because what's his now? Incantation hadn't patented it yet. I guess So
So I have to ask you, Joe. We talked to TJ Childers from Inner Armor, and he also likes to drum shirtless. And when I asked him why he liked to drum shirtless, he said it was a hygiene thing.
So you don't put a wet shirt back on after the set.
That's definitely one huge reason for sure.
Okay. Yeah.
So do you have the same, or is it a temperature thing or a habit?
It's definitely a temperature thing. I go into every show thinking I'm gonna make it with the shirt on. We always bust me live and be like, "Oh, that's song 2." Before I even turn around, is my drummer's shirt coming off right now? And it usually is, and we're laughing because like I can withstand 2 songs before I start to feel the dampness. I'm like, "Hey, I'm not trying to throw this shirt in the garbage yet." So right off.
Yeah. Well, the drummer's allowed. That's the drummer's allowed to be shirtless and just wear and wear shorts on stage too. But
That and Matt Pike.
There's nothing worse than you watch those Metallica videos from the Load era when they're wearing the Metallica shorts and you're like, oh, the shorts that should not be. Yeah, only the drummer should be allowed to wear shorts, in my opinion.
He's
I
like that
apologize.
when
I
we
do wear
go
shorts at every
running. He'll
show,
last
so
about a
it's-
mile. His shirt comes off.
Yeah, it's an overheating thing. Yeah.
I'm a shorts on stage guy, but I have worn jeans and I've ripped them up the ass bending around. I run around a lot when I'm on stage and a lot of squatting, a lot of
Yeah.
So like I do wear shorts. They're not camo shorts from Old Navy. They're just a nice dirty pair of shorts. But
Yeah.
I apologize if you see us live and you don't like.
Oh no, it's all right. Yeah.
I mean, I do agree. I used to like look at bands and have certain like feelings, but I remember seeing the guy from Malignancy, Danny, who we got to know later in this band. But when I was a kid and would see them play, and he would wear shorts, and I was like, well, he's not a douchebag, so I could wear shorts on stage, and it's cool. But
I think you put a lot of thought into the shorts thing.
Oh, like I'm a weirdo with clothes, and I didn't wear shorts until I was like 17 years old. I was a psychopath. So it's a very hard thing when you played soccer and your mom made you wear the sweatpants under the shorts, and I was like, that's my.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I was the type like when I was 22 years old, it was like, Mark, you're gonna wear leather pants. We're playing football, and I'd be like, yeah, I'll be all right. I'll be all right. I'm never not wearing leather pants, never. So yeah, not anymore.
Yeah, definitely not at Maryland Death Fest. It's way too
festival.
way too high.
Yeah, at festivals, I've done away with all the bullet belts and everything. It's just comfort, because it's about survival. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, I had my Fitbit on last time, and between walking between stages, and we walk up into the parking garage because the drinks are cheaper from our car.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And back, we tracked over 4 miles.
Yeah.
I
It was
walked over
crazy.
7 miles this last show we played at the Lunar Fair.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's just because
Yeah, I'm not doing the Paul Stanley at a festival. Forget it. It's not happening.
So I had a thought. Would you guys ever consider adding like the exhumed Mr. Dr. Filthy running around on stage, or maybe some girls dancing around and spewing in fake blood? I mean, you already have the darkness and the humor. I mean, next is to just go full Grindhouse, don't you think?
Well,
I love that.
Me and Joe had a
Love
band
that.
called Painful Urination, and Joe's a huge Guar fan. And I was at the point where I was very new and playing live, and I was just like, I wanted to hide myself. So we had a whole elaborate thing where I would be covered in fake blood and have a lot of accessories. Then we had a weird incident with a sound guy who I got in a fight with, and it was a weird thing. So the next time we played at the same venue, I wore a costume. And we were like, we announced somebody, like we were like, oh, Rocco is no longer in the band. He's this character. And I built this giant costume of fabric that I stole from the rag shop.
It was like a shag carpet, like Muppet.
Yeah, and it
was
looked like,
awesome.
it was made out of like a cat litter box and a cardboard box and weird circles. And it was just this monster that was killing people on stage and I was gutting people. And when we started Chains
Raw
of the
meat.
Dead, yeah. So we had that, and we started Chains of the Dead. I was like, am I gonna do that again? And I was just like, I don't know. I think I could rely on my abilities. I would love for that to happen. And I have no idea how Ghoul or Guar or any of these motherfuckers get any of their friends to do shit, because nobody wants to do dick at a show when they're there.
Yeah.
People want to hang out. Maybe when you're younger, you want to be more part of a collective. I would love it. If you guys ever want to come to a show, you're more than welcome to come on.
Yeah.
We will
Well,
think
Yeah,
of
it sounds
if
like
you want, you can sacrifice me. Well, you can, do the thing and we'll have the fake blood.
I think you were ahead of I think you were ahead of times. You could have been sleep token back then. You could have done
Oh my God.
you were doing the sleep token thing.
hopefully cooler and better. That would be hard to do. But yeah, like
Yeah.
I would love something like that. Like I think that's a very cool thing to do. It's a very hard thing to do. Like I think
Just dress somebody up as Tarman.
yeah, I mean, I think our initial shows, instead of having maybe that level of theatricality, had me trying to be more of like maybe a punk, or not punk, but like I was very running around and jumping off things and going into the crowd, and I still do that stuff. That was 10 years ago. I'm a little older now.
Some friends wrestle you.
Yeah, there was a lot of wrestling involved and like
Mid-set?
Yeah, mid-set and doing
Not
stuff
dropping
like
the
that.
mic, not missing any vocals, being like suplex.
Yeah.
Yeah, David
Incredible.
Gao from the Judas
Incredible
Lizard
stuff.
is a hero of mine.
Yeah.
My favorite band. So like there was a very level of like having friends like carry this band Triple Cripple used to play with. They would always like grab me off the stage, and I was like always like, I'm not gonna miss a beat. So that was like that replaced the costume theatricality. But honestly, like if I was still like, if I knew people who are like actors or something and were like, yeah, well, we'll just do something like wild like that. I mean, I have a million fucking ideas, so it just doesn't. It's never really like. It doesn't happen, but I would love it to happen.
Yeah.
There's a level. I mean, I think for singers, it's a thing that helps a lot. If you just want to like, oh, I'm gonna wear a ski mask or something just simple.
Yeah.
There was a Chain of the Dead show that I wore like a stocking, like a pantyhose
Oh,
stocking,
yeah.
and everyone was like, that just looked weird, dude. Like that's not cool at all. I was like, it really kind of helped me like not feel like myself at the show. But everyone's like, dude, you looked like a fucking bag of mashed potatoes, just squished.
God.
It was.
Well, it
wild.
all goes back to Genesis. I mean, dressing up like a tomato. I mean.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
I mean, there was an idea of like, I was like, you know what, I want someone to wheel me out on a gurney, not a gurney, like a hand truck. And I'm just gonna be like this wild. It kind of fit like the idea of the Chains of the Dead thing, where I was like, I'm just gonna be this wild thing that never talks on stage, and they're just gonna wheel me out. I'm just gonna like do the songs. Joe will talk or Steve will talk, and then they'll wheel me out to the back. And I was like, all right. But then as I get on stage and I realize like I just want to fucking think I'm a fucking comedian and just start telling jokes, and I'm like, I would never be able to not talk on stage and steal the spotlight. So, but it was a cool idea. Anyone wants to take that, they could take it. But it would be a cool idea. And the wrestler Sabu used to come out sometimes with a Hannibal Lecter mask, so I think it was inspired by that. And he never talked, which I don't get. You got a microphone, you might as well talk, right?
Yeah. I will say one more thing about Genesis. I didn't realize this back in the day, but I kind of went back to it like a few years ago, and I realized that as goofy as they may have been in the 70s, boy, did they make their money back in the early 80s. All those prog bands in the early 80s. I mean, there was a time, and I have to use the internet, but there was a time where every Genesis side project was like in the top 10, I think, at the same time. Like Mike and the Mechanics, Phil Collins, Peter Gabriel, Genesis proper. Like,
Yep.
I forget, it was like a certain month and year that they all were.
It's like 94, right?
Everybody's making cheddar cheese, like. And it's all funny to make fun of the Lady in the Lake and all from the 70s, but they figured it out in the 80s, so. Yeah.
I mean, the video Land of Confusion with all those crazy puppets. That's like one of the that's like a horror video right there too, for the record. That's scarier than any of those necrophiles.
I haven't seen that in ages.
Yeah, that's just terrifying, man.
I Can't Dance record was even cool. I mean, that was when they were like really as pop as they were gonna get. But man, like Jesus, He Knows Me is like a fun song, poking fun at all the religious zealots out there, and Joel Osteen's of the world. So that song kind of still resonates today, I would say.
This version of doing like a black metal album, just calling out religious bullshit, which was a big pop song.
So I noticed you guys haven't had any videos or visualizers out yet, but I was thinking, Maybe you could do a little do it yourself, even if you make homemade blood and with lunch meat on the wall.
Yeah.
Sadistic force. I could see it definitely coming together. But if you could have one horror director make a video for you guys, who's gonna get the call?
Good.
Oh, jeez.
Eli Roth.
Probably not M. Night Shyamalan, I'm just saying.
Shyamalan doing it?
Sam Raimi.
I don't know.
Sam Raimi?
If you want to go dead, I would say Lucio Fulci would probably be the guy to do.
Yes.
Living, I don't know, man. That's an interesting question. Look, you threw me a curveball on that one, guys. Get Carpenter to stop playing video games and watching basketball, maybe, and come out. And
Yeah, really.
I was thinking Carpenter.
Yeah, Carpenter be good.
It's an interesting question. It could just honestly, it could just be. Man, that's an interesting question. I'd say Fulci. Fulci's like one of my main kind of guys in that kind of realm of just visceral horror and like the vibe. A lot of times when I'm picturing how our songs sound, it starts with him. Not him, but it has sound like the imagery comes from that. Just any of that 70s European aesthetic is like so purely in my heart, because it's like the kind of idea where like a lot of Italian cinema was based on like these like you didn't need the cinemas were based on you would walk around and go in and check it out and then like go have coffee and like come back or coffee and then come back out.
Right.
But like and so like Italian cinema was kind of based on having these like big scenes and then these leisurely parts. And you know what? I take it back. Joe D'Amato would be the guy I want to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Damn.
There you go.
I can
Okay.
think about it, but yeah, Anthropophagus and the Emmanuel in America, Emmanuel and the Cannibals. I like just some Italian dudes like sucking down heaters, drinking Crown Royal, and like just yelling at me to act more like wild or something.
The sounds of decay!
Okay, Sounds of Decay 1.
This is Ghoulhouse with Realm of Ghouls. If there ever were a real ghoul walking among us, it'd be the infamous Ed Gein, the grave robber, skin sewer, lady suit enthusiast, and do-it-yourself king of extreme home decor. The man actually had skull cereal bowls in his Wayfair collection, which really puts a whole new spin on made with real ingredients. Ghoulhouse would have been absolutely in his rotation. Their whole aesthetic screams campy B horror poster, while the music is pure old school death metal savagery that with HGPD nastiness baked in. You see that two skull logo? You already know it's going to scorch.
Hacksaw kicks things off with that peculiar menacing bass line lurching forward like Michael Myers. The guitar trembles like a victim handcuffed to a radiator before kicking to hysteric pulses that also warp into fuzz over an overwrought but smack-steady drum panic. Johansson unleashes that signature deep throat, full of blood vocal gurgle. Check out the rumbling, lurching guitar line mid-track that returns for a pit-churning encore, followed by an oozing, new delicious solo hookier than Gein's sewing needles. Why settle for a tame flesh for fantasy when Ghoulhouse has a much more Gein-like, fetid flesh fairy tale? Mangled guitar riffs slither and sleaze before the drums rupture into blast beats. The riffs later crunch out a repeated three-chord raunchy climb. Johansson's vocals are dark and mordant, with an acrid edge, layered with a second, higher tone voice that ups the creep factor with a gnarly wizard incantation vibe.
Mid-track, the riffs hang long, inauspiciously vibrating like slow steps up a dark staircase, punctuated by high desperate squeals. This gives way to a solo with enough notes to gag a hungry wolf. You will find a maniacal laugh escaping your lips as that chilling guitar line returns. The drums fly off like bats spooked from a belfry. The track ends with the guitar squealing once more as if in torment, leaving an air of lingering unease. Devoured by famined pigs hits in a completely different vein, tapping into a brand new fear I didn't know that I had. the slim but never zero chance of being murdered by livestock. The guitar line carries a particular, yay, we're going to the graveyard bounce, while the mucky vibrating bass keeps the menace simmering underneath. Johansson's vocals are low, sinister grumble, telling a tale that could easily fit into a Creepshow vignette. Let's play a clip. This is Devoured by Famined Pigs.
Suddenly, a tenser guitar riff bounces in the right ear, paired with tight, equally taut kick drums in the left, before the track snaps back into its grim, hopping rhythm. Near the end, an undulating solo bursts forth slightly unhinged. By the time it finishes, you're checking the distance to your nearest farm on Google. I think my favorite slice of rot on the whole record is the slimy luster of Kingdom of Squirming Worms. It opens with that doomy stab, stab, pause, kick drum pattern, while the riffs writhe in their own distortion. Blast beats soon rain down, unrelenting, while the guitars become fuzzed out fury with little sonic gear shifts. The vocals, deep, bubbling belches of filth. Mid-track, the kick drum frenzy grabs the heaving riffs and drags them into a dance macabre as the vocals multiply like legion.
My favorite moment is when the guitar wails out those riffs that flail like a worm stranded on a sun-blasted sidewalk, only to burst into a frantic solo as if it just spotted a hungry robin and is wriggling for its life.
You think like before the worm does it, he's like, another worm's like, you'll never make that, dude. And he's like, I can do it. Look, I can see the other side. And then he gets halfway across and he's like, oh, fuck. This was a bad idea. And then here comes a bird. Sorry. Anyway. Anyway, wiggling for its life.
Then comes that perfect tonal shift, the low bass throbbing like a freshly stubbed toe, when that distorted gear-changing riff returns, cycling and snarling. It becomes pure death metal headbang fodder, and by the time the double bass locks in again, you're a zombified slave to the pit. This album feels like wandering into a warped, upside-down version of Schoolhouse Rock, where the cafeteria serves nothing but brain pudding. Roger Johansson and Håkan Stuvman return with enough old-school death metal energy to graduate this operation from mere house to a full-blown realm. It's a realm where you'll scream with glee, run in terror, or if you're taking home decor cues from a certain Wisconsin handyman, fire up your chainsaw and start redecorating. This is Ghouls at their most confident, more hooks, more raging solos, more good graveyard dirt under the nails fun than ever. Fans of Exhumed, Corpus Ophal, or Dismember will be sure to give this Ghoul 4 out of 5 decomposing thumbs up.
The part at the end of the documentary really struck me as his girlfriend wants to have sex, and he's had so much sex with corpses that he says, you're too warm. So the final scene is her shamefully climbing into a tub of ice. And I thought, baby, go to a bar. There's got to be other options. You have hit rock bottom. Anyway, this is Kingdom of Squirming Worms.
Sounds of Decay 2, Decrepit, Alter, with Egregious Defilement. Writers have gotten a little lazy with describing the sounds of bands, genres, even labels. Descriptions like old school death metal, caverncore, sweet death, gent, and deathcore. The list goes on, but do any of them really help you figure out what the band sounds like? What about the emotional response it conjures? I mean, I know those guys are on a deadline, but aren't we all?
The debut EP from the Croatian trio Decrepit Altar is a form of music I find particularly alluring these days. A sort of musty, lumbering twin guitar doom death that occasionally weaves through mud puddles of blasting speed with monstrous, nigh discernible vocal gurgles. Let me put it another way. Okay. You ever go to a muddy part of the backyard and flip over a rock? Earwigs flipping over in sunlight, worms wiggling in agony, carcasses of horrid dead things reduced to shells, and a host of other nauseating activities never meant to be exposed to the sun. That is what this music sounds like. Dank, ugly, and vile.
This EP is comprised of 3 songs with 8, 5, and 7-minute runtimes, which are all but ideal for this type of music. It takes the opener, The Festering Depths, over a minute of soft pings, dripping noises, and feedback building till it finds its first riff, which of course crawls like a tick in a tar bucket. Finally, around the 2-minute mark, the first sub-Leon roar bassist, vocalist Vitan Bukvik gurgles to the surface. The uphill crawl is magnificent in this one, and the slow burn riff, enhanced impressively by the clattery blast and double bass exercise from drummer and lead guitarist Matez Kiss. The riff shifts slightly more to a slashy waltz time pattern around the 5-minute mark before morphing a couple more times, including a very headbang-friendly chug style that sounds marvelous against Kiss's lo-fi percussive fits. Let's play a clip. This is The Festering Depths.
The second track, Beckoning of the Moss-Ridden Tombs, I mean, you can smell the rot, can't you? It actually kicks off with what I'd call mid-tempo, at least for this bunch, but compared to other bands, glaciers melt faster than this. Anyway, before it slows down more to an even more club-footed crawl, the bass of Bulkvik just flapping to the point where you wonder, is it actually sticking to the pickups?
Final track, the 7+ minute Fields of Flayed Skin, launches itself magnificently with Kiss pittering and pattering convincingly, adding just the right amount of edge to the loping riff and occasional harmonized guitar swell. If you drove at the speed of this band, the planarians on the sidewalk would get to work faster than you, and how would they get the office open? They don't have pockets for keys, do they? For the remainder of this painfully slow drag through the soil, the pace is interrupted by an I Hate God adjacent feedback squall around midpoint and a surprisingly melodic guitar solo closer to the back half of this monstrosity.
Well, there it is. Take a whiff of the rot. Listen to things squirm and drip. You never had it so good. Hats off to me, Sako Un Ojo, for slowly bringing more and more artists in this style from around the world to our attention. By the way, I think I hear your mom yelling that you're playing in her garden. Hey, sorry, I didn't tell you to go messing with her begonias. Next time, play it safe and go over to Brave Words when she gets done with your grounding. Anyway, this is Fields of Flayed Skin.
Sounds of Decay 3. This is Carrion Vael. Slay utterly. That's right. If you're gonna slay, don't slay politely. Don't slay conservatively. Slay utterly. And this 5-piece from Richmond does exactly that on this 8-song collection of hard-charging, guitar-crazed, serial killer-obsessed tech death for a good 40+ minutes. This is album number 5 for this prolific moniker since forming in 2008. dropping in early January on Unique Leader Records, and for fans of top-shelf mellow death like Anata, Obscura, and Necrophagist, it looks to be a release that will be celebrated utterly.
It's thrilling from the very first track. 1978 is a cut that balances dizzying twin leads, percussive scrambling from drummer Matt Boehner, and even a little orchestral pomp to keep things interesting around the choruses. Lyrically, it parks us in California, circa the bitchin' years, and covers the documented story of the dreaded Hillside Strangler. True to form, the lickety-split leads and battering percussion will give you the feeling that all the air is being sucked out of the room, as opposed to many other bands in the genre that just handle the sucking part. The Lizzie Borden-inspired track 40 Echoes Upon the Parlor features some of the fastest and most technical playing on the record, but Carrion Vael shows some deft songwriting talent in the way the stop on a dime changes slow things down just enough to make the chorus hummable. Plus, the lead work from guitarist Ryan Neuter proves he's developed some unbelievable chops. Sorry. Let's play a clip. This is 1978.
I think my favorite track on the album would have to be Truth or Consequences, mainly due to the gorgeous Spanish guitar intro that starts things off. There's just not enough bands doing the battery-style opener these days, and this one sounds magnificent. Of course, shortly thereafter, the band is storming, smashing, and soloing away with remarkable fluidity, while vocalist Travis Lawson provides commentary on the Toy Box Killer who terrorized New Mexico in the early 90s. The dramatic twin leads of Trenton Lindbergh and Ryan Cooder are just dreamy on this one, proving these guys have a veritable war chest of killer melodies that are... What? Can I finish, please?
Going to hell, totally. Anyway.
At any rate, this is a genre that is a thorny one for me. It's got to be done ferociously and tastefully, and with album number 5, Carrion Vael prove they have advanced to the level of any of the aforementioned bands. Get over to Bandcamp and get a pre-order of this beast. I only see it on the Unique Leader site at this point, but eventually there could be a second location.
Second location.
Let's play a clip. This is Truth or Consequences.
So that's it, huh? Oh, it's just getting going. Hello. We talked about Misted Produce and Unbreakable Bones.
Well, it's a weird...
I'm willing to bet we're the only podcast that did that this week. Yeah.
Yeah, lots of weird DNA things I had no idea existed. They also have people who can see more colors than other people, but I don't know how many.
They're in HD.
But they are, but wouldn't it be horrible to like try to describe what you're seeing? And they're like, yeah, that's orange. No, it's a light orange. No, it's orange. No, it's kind of a mid-range. Oh, shut up. I don't think they get irritating after a while.
I was rather impressed with the savageness of the fuchsia.
This has been the Snaggletooth Decay Extreme Music Podcast. Special thanks to the guys from Chained on the Dead for appearing on the show. Snaggletooth theme by Gustav Jord of Defleshed. Sounds of Decay theme by Steve Rathbone of Lair of the Minotaur. Sounds of Decay bands include Carrion Vael, Ghoulhouse, and Decrepit Altar. All content 2025, the Snaggletooth Decay Extreme Music Podcast.
What? Refund on this what? Fucking celery.
This is the Snaggletooth Extreme Metal Podcast.